Speaker, I want to be the first to acknowledge, Mr. Speaker, that this legislation may not indeed be the appropriate place in which to address the issue raised in the amendment. But I do believe the amendment is an appropriate way to highlight a problem that simply must be addressed by the President and by the Congress. In recent weeks, there have been many news accounts reporting that we have had an explosion of unaccompanied juveniles coming and crossing our borders, largely from Central America, from the countries of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. This population has overwhelmed the facilities that we normally house people that have entered our country illegally, and military facilities have now been used, pressed into service to deal with this population. In full disclosure, one of those facilities happens to be in my district, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, the home of the field artillery. But other facilities have also been used at Ventura, at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, in the state of Washington, and still others are being considered. I'm concerned about this for three reasons. First, these military facilities are absolutely inappropriate places to house this particular population. They're not designed for that purpose. They're not equipped for it. They've gotten very little notification of it. It's simply the wrong place to put folks. You don't bring outsiders onto a military installation who have no business being there, and in addition also they're caretakers. Second, while much of the expense will be picked up by other various departments of government, it will inevitably cause some expense and some inconvenience to the Department of Defense at a time when we have a very strained military budget. And lastly, while we're told that these facilities are going to be used only on a temporary emergency basis, there is indeed the risk that they could become permanent, something I think that would create a confusion of missions on military bases and ought to be avoided. We need to address the cause of the flow, not simply manage the flow better, and we shouldn't use military facilities in that process. The administration says that this flow of unaccompanied juveniles, which by the way was 6,000 2 years ago, is 66,000 now and is projected to reach 120 to 150,000 within the next couple of years, is the result of a humanitarian crisis. I would submit it's actually the result of a policy failure. We're essentially incentivizing the flow of this population by not returning the unaccompanied juveniles to their countries of origins quickly. Indeed, once they arrive in the United States, we try to find sponsors for them in this country, and they effectively stay here permanently. That's not what we do, by the way, with Mexican juveniles. If you're a 16-year-old illegal immigrant from Mexico, we return you immediately. And we've had no similar spike in that particular population coming across the border. What we're doing may appear to be humane to the juveniles in question. It's actually not. First, we're disrupting the countries from which they come. We are destabilizing those populations by incentivizing this flow. Second, these young people don't just walk across Mexico. They're transported by cartels. It's criminals, the same people that bring drugs into our country, and they're making an enormous amount of money, and we're strengthening them by incentivizing this flow. Finally, the young people themselves are at enormous risk during the process of transportation. They're being brought across the length of a country, Mexico, in the company of criminal elements, very unsavory elements, and they're very much at risk. So I think we need to stop using military facilities for this purpose and to, frankly, begin to return people to the country of origin. In my view, that would actually stop the flow and remove the incentive to come. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. Does the gentleman from Indiana wish to insist on his point of order?
Yes.
Then the gentleman be heard on his point of order.
Hold on. I could ask, is it the gentleman's intent to withdraw his amendment?
I respect my friend's pressing the point of order. I suspect he will prevail, and I'm prepared to withdraw. But I want to serve notice. I'm going to eventually find the appropriate vehicle so that we can address this. I think it's a real issue, but I respect my friend's concerns that this may not be the appropriate